give a big welcome to Scott.
Please welcome Scott Silver.
So much of the core philosophy of doing a national intervention is already familiar to you. You understand, no matter who you are, the impact and to some extent the nature of addiction. We recognize some truths to be self-evident. Corporations aren't people, money is not speech, and only publicly funded elections are not corrupted by moneyed interests. Otherwise, it's just more of an auction than an election.
I think we're realizing together that while our bodies might be behind a desk or a counter or a push broom or a car, our souls are thirsting for justice.
We want to be heard and we want to be seen. As a species has given up its power to dream up and build up a new reality, given up our power to a small few who've taken that power like a substance, used it, then abused it.
Less than 1% of the world's people controls more than half the world's wealth and resources.
The next stage is addiction. And this small ruling class in whom we've invested our livelihoods, the education of our young, our food, air, and water, and the very existential parameters of our habitats is today known as the corporate class. Corporations are not people, yet the people who do their bidding are people. They are other human beings. They are in our species.
Meanwhile, the net worth of the 5 Walmart heirs to the Walton fortune would pay for the health insurance of every man, woman, and child in the U.S.
The reality is that these people really can't help themselves or stop themselves. In every instance in the history of the corporate class's addiction, there is virtually no sobriety. 50,000 people, 16 times the number of people who died on September 11th.
Die every single year because they simply had no access to America's shrinking health insurance country club.
Their high gets the best of them and tragedy strikes. They become manic and arrogant. They believe they can do anything, anywhere, to anyone, and no matter how destructive, no matter how traumatic, no matter how deeply wounding their intoxicated rampages are, they can't think clearly. And they can't regain control of themselves. British Petroleum filed for and got a $9.9 billion tax deduction, claiming the catastrophe as a loss. They are a clear threat to themselves and to others.
We need to embrace the concepts of Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. King that our connection to a universal justice is real. We need to know that our lives have a purpose, if for no other reason than to be the individual meeting points of threads that bind our web. We need to be the ones to show those still plugged into the corporate matrix that theirs is not a ladder but a wheel for working mice of owning men, that they can jump off and we'll catch them, that they can find their own dignity in our collective struggle, and that the choice between getting busy living and getting busy dying or killing isn't just obvious, it's global and it's urgent.
This is what individual bargaining has gotten us. We have to decide if we're ready to bargain collectively for a new social contract. A new contract not just at work, but with our world and with those people who've taken control of it.
It's time to make sure that we rebalance power in our nation. We need an amendment to strip corporations from their personhood. We need an amendment to make sure that all financing and all elections are public. And we need an amendment to make sure that corporate interests are not just accountable to profits for their stockholders, but that they're accountable to a national standard of values for which we fight, for which we organize, that protects the people and the planet while we still have time.
If those in power can't ratify the amendment for any healthy democratic republic, just in case they don't want to be strapped down, we will no longer allow them access to the substance of their addiction, which is our wealth. As all wealth comes from labor and consumption, national intervention will call on those ready to end their toxic relationship to the corporate addiction system to walk out of school and walk off the job.
And once again, we'll heed the haunted warnings of our great-great-grandchildren, and once again, we'll make it stop. The greatest revolution of the day must begin first with the revolution of the heart, a revolution that begins within each one of us. But you can't do it till you're ready. So what I'm wondering today is if you're ready.